you in the future Kuiper Girl, along with Barton Lynch, to talk you through all of this action. We just saw Baron Mamiya advance into quarterfinal number 2. Up for grabs, the spot who will be surfing against Baron Mamiya, Seth Moniz versus Nat Young in the priority heat.
Seth with a slight advantage in that first half. 17 minutes to go, so lots of time, but if you're Nat Young, you'd be looking at the 4.5 and the 3.33 of Seth's and going, well, no problems there.
Here we go, hot off the buzzer, Filipe Toledo. Harking turn there, BL. And just great rail work from Filipe Toledo. But BL, you used a term, the first half. And I think with this overlapping heat format, that's really the way to look at these heat, as a two-part heat. Your first half, your non-priority half, and your second half of your heat. And so I like that vocabulary, and I like that description, because because the first half is completely different from the second half as far as strategy. Absolutely.
You haven't got the priority, and you're looking to make or create a base for the second half, that when you've got the priority, how you do in the first half is going to impact how you use the priority and how you manage that second half. So really interesting way to compete, and adds opportunity for strategy that doesn't exist in a normal sort of format. A 5.33 for Filipe, so great score there. And with the absence of some of the bigger names and some of the favourites out here at Sunset, Filipe Toledo starting to put himself right at the top of my mind.
Caught a little bit on his heels here. Nat Young has to travel a long way before even having a chance to do a turn. So that's going to be a no-go for Nat Young, and he's just going to have to take another lap out the back. When we look at Filipe Toledo and Ethan Ewing, they've had a matchup before, and it's actually Ethan Ewing with the advantage historically over Toledo. 1-0 on head-to-head matchups. Ethan beating Toledo in Tahiti in 2017 in their last matchup.
Okay. The young Australian, two of the most beautiful carving surfers that exist on the tour. Both of their styles really suit this wave. Ethan Ewing more natural, I suppose. It just seems really natural for him to surf here and to pick his lines and to where he puts himself. Filipe, on the other hand, has had to work at it. But if what we're seeing today is any indication, the work's been done.
Yeah, I mean, getting over on Billy Kemper was a big feat for Filipe Toledo earlier today. Ethan Ewing here, he's been a finalist 2019. He got 3rd place in the World Cup here, so he's got a feeling of success here at Sunset Beach. But right now, it's a man-on-man matchup. These are no 4-man heats, although there are 4 people in the water because of the overlapping format. Hey, we got a lot of stuff going on here, not just surfing. We got merchandise on the beach, and for more on that, let's check in with Rosie Hodge.
Hey guys, I'm down here at the Hurley merch tent, and Nick Kutcher, a North Shore artist, has actually been commissioned to commemorate this event here. You can get his merch. It's all vintage inspired artwork. As you see it there on the tees, there's hats. If you want to stop by here on site and grab yours, you can also shop it at hurley.com as well as the WSL store. And also to note that Hurley is giving away an electric bike. The Hurley Mini Swell electric bike is more than ready for early morning strike missions with 500 watts and 48-volt ride assist and throttle, plus utilitarian go-anywhere tires. Stop by the merch booth to enter. Winner will be announced on finals day, so you want to be in that draw if you want to win this little Mini Swell Hurley bike. The thing is pretty sweet. We'll send it back to you guys.
Put an entry in for me.
Oh man, yeah, there are a lot of electric bikes out these days.
They sure are.
They sure are. That's some great gear. I don't know if we're allowed to enter. If we are, I want to put an entry in too. All right, so back to the heats in the water. Seth Moniz with the advantage over Nat Young, and Filipe Toledo checking out in the non-priority heat, opening with a 5.33. Ethan Ewing in the barrel, traveling through, comes out, no problem. Ewing, long bottom turn and hooking combo. So barrel and a couple of turns for the young man from North Stradbroke Island. What a start.
Beautiful surfing, and what we're going to see when this score drops is that Filipe Toledo and Ethan Ewing would both be in front of Nat Young and Seth Moniz, even though they're starting their heat 20 minutes later.
Yeah, and so to your point, this is the first half of their heat, non-priority half, and they've already played that really well.
They've already played it better than Nat Young and Seth Moniz were able to play their first half. And obviously, different conditions, different moments in time, different playing fields, and so obviously it's hard. You're not really comparing oranges to oranges, are you? But here's the replay. Beautiful barrel. The judges are going to love this, and the fact that he found that out there essentially in third priority really was a great effort. And this combination of turns, that beautiful carve into the re-entry, clean as you could be, the whole thing was beautifully done, and he's showing so much maturity, and his style just looks beautiful on this wave.
Ethan, just in the wave selection, the positioning, a difficult barrel to negotiate Sunset Beaches, because we talked about those lava fingers and how uneven the bottom can be. But look at this, just precise precision and taking the right line.
Better than the 5.33 of Filipe's, I imagine. Two lovely big hacks for Filipe, but the way these turns all sync together, that was just a beautiful ride.
Yeah, I'd be surprised. I think it's a couple of points, a point or point and a half higher than Filipe's opener. We'll see what the judges think as we go back to Nat Young, chasing Seth Moniz right now, and he's a 5.5, and a lot of unsteady water, and Nat just not able to bury his rail on that wave and really get in a solid bottom turn.
7.5 for Ethan Ewing.
Hey, I want to check out the Red Bull Athlete Zone. We got Makua Rothman with some reporting. What's going on, Makua?
What's up, guys, up there in the booth? I'm down here in the Athlete Zone. We got Jake Marshall getting ready for his heat right here. Just seen Baron Mamiya and David Silva come in from their heat. The vibe is winding down a little bit. You know, it's coming to the end of the day. People are moving on, making the quarterfinals. Other people are not going home. Unfortunately, you know, that's the way it goes in this game. And the boys are going out. We got a few heats left. The swell is absolutely pumping. Back to you guys in the booth.
Hey, okay, Makua, I got a question for you.
What's up?
I see Kelly in the background with you. What is Kelly digesting there over there in the Red Bull Athlete Zone?
Oh, he's just chilling. He's watching a video of them trying to save a whale with some rope on the neck. You know him, he's always an advocate for, you know, healthy living and the planet and all that good stuff. So Kelly's just kicking back, watching the waves and enjoying himself over here at Sunset Beach. All
right, well, thanks for the reporting. Makua Kai Rothman, a 2007 champ out here at Sunset.
And you know what, in 2007, he was a young bloke back then, and I remember in the free surfs leading into that event, I said to him, literally said to him one day, hey, Makua, you keep surfing like that, you will win this event.
And he did it.
And he went on and won the event, so that's always been a little nice moment that we've had between us, because when someone's in form and when they're in that winning form, you can see it. It stands out, and it stands out in free surfs, and it stands out to all of those around the block. So I could see it in Makua in that 2007 year.
Yeah, well, you know what? I see a flash of brilliance right now in Ethan Ewing with his composure, his technique, his wave selection, 7.5 opener, really opening on a strong foot for his matchup against Filipe Toledo.
Absolutely, to put that pressure on with the 7.5 early, and you know it felt like the 5.33 was a fantastic start as well, didn't it? So both these guys making the most of their opening chances. Things definitely slowing down in the consistency front, you know, when it comes to the amount of waves coming through. And we're seeing the people in the non-priority part of their heat, the first half as we've referred to it, not getting a lot of opportunities. And speaking to the level of these two guys' ability to have got keeper scores in that first half, we haven't seen someone do that for quite some time. So that speaks to, one, their understanding of this break and knowledge, but also the talent they've both got on the wave face.
We got a paddle here. We're going to see if we have any takers at the moment. Surfers repositioning themselves, and let's just see if anyone's going to pull the trigger.
Whoa, things were congested there in the lineup.
Yeah, and for more from the lineup, let's check in with Strider Wazalewski.
Thank you, Kaipo. Yeah, well, the conditions have, you know, subdued a bit through the middle of the day and this afternoon, but the buoys were still pumping this morning. So off of Kauai, the buoy was about 10 feet, 15 seconds, which should equate to this afternoon of it just being about, 15 to 20 foot faces on the sets. So they've taken a breath. I think we're going to see some bang at the end of this thing, and I can see way outside, still see third reef cappers, and I think we're going to see some really good sets coming through for the rest of the day because it is just going to be pumping on the buoys. So that's what we wanted to know, and that's what we're going to get. These guys out there waiting, they could get mowed down by one of those big west sets.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Strider. And yes, we do have those buoys off of Kauai, and generally, depending upon the swell angle, takes about 12 hours from that reading to formulate until it hits the reefs here on the North Shore. And famous words from a mentor of mine, and a mentor of yours, Keone Downing, once told me, all your forecasting, all your stuff, doesn't mean anything until it hits the buoys, kid. Because we have all these long-term projections and all these models and everything, and Keone just a solid waterman and just a wealth of knowledge.
Absolute wealth of knowledge. I've been milking that well of knowledge for a long time, and the whole family. And we miss Uncle George. Respect to he for his amazing contribution to our sport.
Ethan Ewing continues with the smooth rail work. Just no hurry, no rush, but precise at the same time. Getting a little release in that slash, and he's going to back up his 7.5.
And even as a goofy footer, both of us, you watch Ethan Ewing surf this wave and you want to surf it like him.
Yeah.
It
100%.
makes you, there's not many people that you watch and go, that's how I want to surf this wave. But Ethan Ewing has that impact.
Here we go, Seth Moniz.
Whoa.
Has to yank the rail through that first turn. Hooks it on the second turn. Patient off the bottom now. Another big snap for Moniz, and a missed opportunity. Not getting the finish on that wave. Moniz was on his way to a good score and bettering his low of a 3.33. He wants to distance himself from Nat Young because he's still way within reach of Nat Young to take this heat.
Yeah, and especially while you've got the priority, while things are going your way, it's a low-scoring heat. You really need to just replace that 3 as your first focus and build that pressure on that, because those guys with the priority are finding it really difficult to decide on what are the priority waves. Without the priority, it kind of looks a little easier because you can chance them.
Right.
It might or might not, and it doesn't really matter whether it does or not because there's not so much to lose. But when you're sitting there with the priority, the longer you sit, the longer you wait, the more pressure comes.
And is managing that. We're down to the 5-minute warning in the priority heat. Nat Young with the priority on the field, needing at this point a 5.5 if Seth Moniz did not improve his scoreline on that last wave.
I suppose there's a chance, isn't there, that there's a slight improvement.
Yeah.
The first sort of cut down was really wobbly, and he had to get down low and grab onto the rail and just hold his way through that. But after that, things started, the flow was there, and it was like, oh, this is going to be a great scorer, and then that fall happened.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. 4.17 slightly improves his situation. Nat Young now looking for a 6.34. So that little bit did help Seth Moniz's cause. That's going to be more pressure. And let's take another look at this one. This is the 4.17.
There's that bump that he hit, and he just warbled the rail, and he just settled down into that bottom turn, held the rail, came into this inside, unleashed on that section. Unfortunately didn't make the move, but it was a powerful attempt. Nat Young looking, he needs something, and he needs it now.
Super important wave for Nat Young, waiting patiently at the bottom to start his attack here. Nice lip glide, and really kind of had to nurse that one up there for the completion. Looking for a 6.34. I want your first, what's your first thoughts on that, BL?
It was looking like a clean wave. Here we are, let's come back to that.
Yeah, Filipe Toledo, always fast on the rail, slashes through that turn. Looking for the barrel and actually just punching out the back as that wave closed out. Opened up with a 5.33, and that's going to be his second scoring wave. Judges owe us scores for Ethan Ewing, Filipe Toledo, and Nat Young to set the situation in both heats.
Seth's got a 4.5 and a 4.17, and I see Nat Young take off on that wave, and it's white watery on the face, but then you see it start to suck clean. I think, oh, this is the one. He drives out of the bottom. Then he got to the top, and things just didn't feel right. He didn't connect with the lip. He wasn't able to just throw the board around and look confident. He kind of nursed it out of the top and got to the bottom, and you went, well, that ain't going to help much.
Yeah, and not to mention, the playing field is just getting cleaned up right now. So huge cleanup set right now is going to disturb all the water in the last 2.5 minutes for Seth Moniz and Nat Young. And after a cleanup set like that, BL, it's going to take some time for things to really settle back down.
Yeah, you can see all the water rushing across and into the channel.
Oh, Strider's calling. What do you got?
Oh, just checking in. We were just touching on the buoys, and well, there we go. We see that set come through and clean everybody up. So we got a lot of action. There's more to come. Trust me. We're gonna finish off with a bang today, and these guys are gonna get a few on the head, but trying to stay on that inside ledge to get those open faces.
Yeah, we got some action. We got some action, Strider, in the way that Ethan Ewing just dropped an 8.57. Add that to his 7.5. Ewing, with a strong showing, already has an excellent heat score in his challenge against Filipe Toledo, BL.
Wow, and he got that without priority.
Yeah.
The other guys, Nat Young, Seth Moniz, sitting there with priority, with the opportunities. He drops a 7.5 and an 8.5, and you must be out the back scratching your head going, I didn't see that wave. I didn't see that one come through. How did I miss that? And so showing some knowledge here,
yeah,
the young Australian, that's for sure.
Yeah, a connection, and we talked about, you know, hey, I'll be watching Ethan Ewing in a mirror just because I enjoy the surfing so much. That's the way you want to surf Sunset, and he's getting some big numbers for that beautiful technique that he's able to lay down. 1 minute remaining for Seth Moniz and Nat Young. Can Seth Moniz hang on to the lead over Nat Young? He has priority, and he's going to have to stay tight with Nat in this final minute. You can see them paddling further up the point. They're going to disappear from view a little bit from the waves, but there you go. A paddle battle in a way.
Nat's just trying to shake Seth. He can't get rid of him. He will not get rid of him. 45 seconds.
Look at the score he needs, just a 3.37 now. Nat Young dropped a 5.3, so just a 3.37 is all that Nat needs.
It just shows how possible and how capable he is. Don't sit there, mate. Whatever you do, just start moving, because the longer you sit there and you just wipe 5 seconds off it with Seth. Seth's sitting there right now going, I'm so glad he's not paddling. I'm so glad he's just sitting here because it's making my job easier. There's the family.
There's Dad. He's already clapping. He's happy. His son is just 10 seconds away to a quarterfinals berth and to be in real time top of the rankings.
And I don't think Nat Young thought he got a 5.3 on that wave. I don't think he imagined that that score was that high and he would have been so close, because if he knew that, he could have played a different game in the back end.
All right, Seth Moniz into the quarterfinals. We got more action here from Sunset Beach. Hurley Pro Sunset Beach, presented by Shiseido. More on the way.
Rosie, Connor O'Leary versus Jake Marshall. It's been a big day for both these surfers.
Yeah, both of these guys have had some big heat wins. Connor O'Leary, you know, he spent most of his heat trying to find that win. Came away with that huge wave that we just saw on the Flying Embers drop of the day. Jake Marshall, biggest heat win of his young career.
Beating John Florence earlier today, and we were just talking about this morning how heavy it is to be a rookie and you run into Kelly at Pipe, and then, oh goodness, you've got John at Sunset. And I think Chris Gallagher, his coach, put him in a good mindset. He's like, hey, you'll have a lot of attention on your heat. You know, look, it doesn't get any harder than this on one end, but you can go out and have some fun, see what happens. Jake Marshall just probably took the weight off his shoulders of the pressure of that feeling, having the best surfer in the world in the water with him, and really honestly outperformed at such a high level. He beat John today, and that's going to be a huge confidence boost for the rookie from Encinitas. Can he keep it going against Connor O'Leary?
Yeah, that self-belief is huge, as we see Filipe Toledo locking in a big score of his own.
7.33 for Toledo. We've got Ewing with 2 better scores. You always look at that. If you're top 2, you have better scores than your opponent in both those situations. You're doing quite well, so Toledo still needs the best score of the heat to end up in first.
Yeah, cool to see the answer back from Filipe, because Ethan has just started with such a staunch lead. Filipe has arguably been my favorite surfer throughout today, and just watching him stomp that last maneuver, just such control. He doesn't coast along the lip and let the wave do most of the heavy lifting. Filipe really stomps on every single turn, creates that point of difference. Right here, he projects into that lip and really controls that finish.
So after being fairly quiet in the first 20 minutes, starting to really open up. We always talk about how fast he is, talk about what he does in there. How about his carves and his power and how that has changed over the years?
Yeah, and I think that's something from Filipe as, you know, this elite athlete. When you're thinking about like what Gabriel Medina's been able to do and Italo Ferreira, it seems like he's really refined that rail game. He's winning at open ocean locations like Margaret River. He's doing well here at Sunset. So it's cool to see him kind of transition from this small wave wonder kid into big open ocean carves.
And great to see what he'll do with a runner-up finish from last year into this season, you know, with a one spot left to improve on, and that has been that elusive world title for Filipe Toledo. Well, remember a couple of seasons in a row how close he actually was to clinching heading into Pipeline. He had that famous heat with Kelly where he was drawing into a crazy backdoor barrel, got clipped at the end, and that probably would have been the score that would have changed his fate that day. So with all the glory for Toledo that, you know, he's been rewarded big wins at multiple locations, he has dealt with quite a bit of heartbreak in the world title race.
That's such an interesting point, Joe, just watching his evolution on this tour and just thinking about the opportunities now as that, you know, you see John falling out of the mix, you see Italo falling out of the mix, you know, those surfers that we're so used to seeing in that top part of the rankings. I mean, Italo's got to see this as a big opportunity.
Things are changing on the leaderboard. Let's catch up with Seth Moniz with Laura Enever.
Yes, guys, I'm down here with a relieved Seth Moniz. Well, with that quarterfinal, you now move into, at the moment, the yellow jersey. How you feeling?
It's pretty crazy. I mean, from the start of last year, I had like the worst start ever and just such a struggle. And I don't know, things just seemed to be going my way. You know, that was a rough heat. I just really didn't surf the heat I wanted to. And at the end of it, I was pretty much just managing the last 10 minutes of it and just not really catching anything, but just trying to manage the heat and just stop Nat from getting a score. But I don't know, I made it, and I'm really excited to surf again and just try to put on a good performance because I haven't really had my heat where I came in where I was like super excited about it yet. But I'm stoked to be in the quarters. Like I'll take it any day of the week, you know. So just gonna move on and throw that away and just move forward.
Amazing. And so what are you going to do? Rest up tonight, head back down tomorrow. You know, with the forecast coming, are you going to change much around?
No, I'll probably just stay on the same board. You know, the board feels good. I just kind of bogged in that last heat, but yeah, I just need some rest. I kind of have a tweaked neck. I took a couple beatings in that other heat earlier this morning, so probably get that worked on tonight.
Oh, well, congratulations, Seth. Rest up, and we'll see you in the quarterfinals. Back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Laura. Yeah, what a big moment for Seth Moniz, having that yellow jersey probably in the back of his head, but really focusing on putting on a big performance. Remember, things can change before that yellow gets handed to Seth. We still have Kaiwa Belly in motion, also Baron Mamiya. We'll keep you posted on the chase for yellow heading into stop 3. So there's still a lot of surfing to do here at Sunset. Connor O'Leary fighting for a finish. Really trying to hang on back to Toledo. Quickly whipping that section off the top. Drawing a huge power gouge off the lip, and he's feeling good about that one.
He should feel good about that one. That was pretty intense that way. The two-turn combination from Italo. That's been a recipe for success out here at Sunset. He's feeling it. I mean, to have your opponent start out as strong as what Ethan has and to fight back the way that Filipe has, that gets the competitive juices flowing. Cool to see the fire from Filipe.
Yeah, so much energy in both of these maneuvers. Which one did you like better?
Oh, that's like picking a favorite child. I mean, look at this. I think it's always just so impactful, that last maneuver, the way that he really throws everything at it. I love that layback option from Filipe.
Yeah, that finish just looked good. It probably felt great. It was really powerful and radical, but we've got an answer. There's the classic wrap from Ewing. Steady off the bottom, threw some foam on the face, remains in control, quickly reacting to the oncoming section, but he'll lose it. We get credit for 2 turns. as the beach is calm but very excited. Every time a big turn goes down, you'll hear them just let it out. And people are just driving by. There's a lot of traffic on Cam Highway at the moment. People trying to get somewhere to park so they could watch the world's best compete for the rest of the day. 10:30 to go in the heat with Ethan Ewing and Filipe Toledo standing by for those last two scores. On the two-turn combo for Toledo, he was hoping for an 8.74 for a lead change. Ewing was trying to protect his lead, where he had to better a 7.5. And we'll see how the judges reacted there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see these numbers drop in. Yeah, I wonder if it's going to go excellent for Filipe. What do you think, Joe?
It was just so powerful. He did it with authority, and you know, he's got a contrasting style to Ethan. You know, it's really fun to see them both in the water together. Two of the best in the game when it comes to really identifying a section to go high performance and let out all that speed and momentum. So for Filipe, it's definitely his best score in my mind. And his high score already is a 7.33, so all that's left is to get into that excellent range. I'm feeling it should be there.
Yeah, that's a great summary of the scores that we've seen so far. And thinking about where Filipe could land that last wave. It is so fun, though, to feel the energy on the beach. There we go, Joey.
Not just excellent, one of the better scores of the day. Turns in a 9.17.
So this is it. This is how you get that number. Big free fall float from Filipe straight into this transition of that hack. The extension that he gets on his board, I mean, it's so easy to lose it like off your feet when you extend too far back, and that pushback from the wave sees him back on his feet. The core strength and the training definitely paying off. You talk about a smooth surfer, but so technically sound. Ethan definitely makes things, like difficult things, look really easy, silky smooth in transition.
So now we see Ethan waiting for a 7.94 to come through. We're still waiting for his last wave to be scored. And we find Filipe in a very interesting position on tour. When you think about the WSL finals last year, he got past Italo to earn that second place position, had the battle in the title match with Gabriel Medina. Gabriel Medina still waiting to see when he'll come back this year. Italo, maybe one of his slower starts to his season in a few years. And so that gives him more opportunity. Even though Toledo started off with an equal 9th at Pipeline, there's a lot of points left in this event that he can really get close to a solid position on the rankings.
There's something tangible, though, in Filipe's surfing at the moment. The way that he is presenting himself. Let's see, utilizing priority.
Toledo will take this wave. Hops down the line. Doesn't look like it's going to change much, but he was able to keep that wave from anybody else.
I think it was Jake Marshall further down the line. But it's so fun watching Italo, watching how energized he is after finishing second place in the world last season. Now watching him in this heat, there's something about a comeback heat where you amass these big scores and it kind of shifts that energy and the momentum. Big barrel ride.
Nice hollow section at Sunset. It always gets everyone on their feet. It's not as easy to predict. Sometimes the sections are starting to chandelier on you. It packs a punch when it decides to shut down. And there's some great guys out there that can read that tube so incredibly well.
Yeah, the punch out from those West Bowls is always so Houdini-like.
So the previous score for Ewing, 5.53. As we have some local grommets excited about seeing their heroes compete.
That's what I was saying, though, Joe. Like how it was almost eerie watching Pipeline unfold last year. No fans on the beach. That's not an energy that we used to. Usually at Pipe, you see everyone coming down. The beach is packed. So this season, just to have fans on the beach and everyone appreciating the surfing, it brings a different atmosphere to the events.
Oh, yeah, hearing the roars of Pipeline again. And I remember talking to Ryan Callan, and he's like, usually you can tell, you know, kind of what the score will be by the reaction of a crowd. And then when it wasn't there, you're kind of like, hang on, what's going on here? Did they get barreled or not? You know, because it was silent. It's definitely a big factor in all sports. The fans and the audience, they do impact the play.
It changes the psychology of the game for sure, not having the fans' reaction and not having that energy output.
And Filipe Toledo has probably performed in front of the most high-impact energy fields, a multiple-time champ when it comes to championship tour events in his home country of Brazil. Never forget that final he won in Baja da Tijuca over beat Durbich. He had his winning board there. Somehow it got lost in the crowd. It was a sea of people. Remember, it looked like a toothpick just floating. And he was like, hey, I really like that board.
The green and pink spray.
And it just disappeared. It was just the water patrol was trying to get him into the beach, and there wasn't even an opening. There was just people for miles. But it was that thunder eruption to every time he did a full rotation that he fed off of. If that crowd wasn't there, maybe he wouldn't have gone as big. It's like there's that connection that you have. You know, Kelly has it with the fans where he wants to put on a show, but it also fuels him to do things maybe he didn't expect to do that day.
Yeah, definitely. And for sure seen some of the most emotional outpourings from Filipe when he wins on home turf. And it's definitely due to that support and that love that he feels.
Remember walking out to the presentation with you, Ro, and Filipe won the sea of people, and we said, oh boy,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there.
I'm a sharp person. That was really, thanks for carrying me on that one, Joey.
Filipe, number 77, one of the funnest guys to hang out with behind the scenes, real mellow personality when it comes to talking to his friends and family, but he can get excited about sport. He's one of those guys that when the Brazilian Storm's still involved in an event, say he loses early, which is pretty rare, he'll still be in the Red Bull athlete zone. He's handing off advice to surfers like David Silva, whoever it might be, to show his love for the people that he grew up with or that are representing his same country.
He's definitely taken on kind of like a dad role, I think, with the Brazilian Storm. I think Adriano de Souza retiring last year, there's definitely been that camaraderie. That the Brazilians, you always feel that support, but just the guys on tour coming together and really supporting each other at events.
So now with 4:14 on the clock, Strider, I guess we're close to the scene here in the parking lot where we hear the crowd erupt. You guys are pretty far out there. Are you hearing any of those cheers?
Yeah, you know what? I love the fans too, but they're not out here in the lineup. So it's just me and the caddies. The caddies are out here. There's a couple of hoots and hollers from the boys, and they're getting in behind the surfers. So it's a secluded situation out here. The people in the heats, all the athletes, are really just like super hyper focused on what they're doing, and you know, the caddies are a major role today, and just giving them scores and breaking them down on their surfboards the way it's looking. We saw Tommy Whitaker talking to Kanoe Igarashi earlier just about to calm me down and not having too much froth and getting off that, he's leaning on that rail too much. There's just all these little tiny intricacies that make a heat for these guys. So pretty cool out here in the lineup. Can't hear the crowd, but I bet you on finals day we will.
Thank you so much, Strider, and it's a great take there because it's pretty loud from where we're sitting. And all the way out to sea, it's really the caddies that have to make all the noise. They're screaming, getting each other fired up. So almost like surfing some outer reef somewhere. And then they come in and go, oh yeah, everyone's still here. 3 minutes to go. Priority with Ewing. We're going to go to the non-priority heat as we see Connor O'Leary go for a huge backside hack. He goes straight down.
That's whiplash right there, Joe.
Been so committed. We saw in the flying embers drop of the day, the closeout section that really took out Colapinto earlier. What was he going for here?
Oh, I love the refreshing read on the backhand as you see that nose just pick as he tries to get up and over it. I mean, everything was going so right for Connor. He was up and over that board. He just didn't seem to get to that bottom third of the wave to ride free of it.
It's an interesting situation at sunset when you read the top part of the wave where you see the bottom kind of go a little bit flat under your feet. You see a lot more pearls from backside snaps, I think, than anywhere else because that transition is almost awkward. It's like the lip is so powerful and vertical, and then the ride away and the transition can actually get a lot flatter under your feet.
Yeah, it doesn't really bend with the curvature of your surfboard. It's really hard to get that smooth entry back onto the open face.
So down to 2 minutes, we saw Filipe turn things around with Ethan Ewing towards the back half of the heat. Did the same thing against wildcard Billy Kemper. And Kemper had taken Filipe out of a contest at Sunset on the QS level in the past, so Toledo has been on fire throughout this event. 16-5 total out front.
Hey, there's still opportunity with Ethan having priority in this minute and a half remaining. Here he goes. He's having a swing.
Needs a 7.94 for a spot in the quarterfinals. Ewing, big wrap to start. Hard off the bottom, belts it with a beautiful layback carve. Drives into the pocket again, a solid front side down carve hack. And he'll drill that end section. 3 massive maneuvers, needing a 7.94 heading into the final minute.
Well, he got that number. I'm going to put that out there. I'm putting myself out on the line. I'm no judge, but he got that and some potentially When you compare it to Filipe's high mark of the 917, here he goes, rolling in. Filipe's on the shoulder, watching him just coast into this bomb. Whips around on that rail, bides his time at the bottom, really gets to work on that open section right there. Beautiful. Oh, that right there, just a searing carve on that rail. You see his board just kind of dip into the water there. What do you think, Joey? I mean, I think he's got the 794. How much it eclipses that number, I'm not too sure, but definitely worthy of the score, I would say.
Well, we compare it to Filipe's two-turn combination that went into the 917.
Oh, that turn was beautiful.
And I feel this one's just as worthy, as we see Filipe knowing that this might be an important wave. 10 seconds, wraps it quickly, throws down the cutty, and shuts it down on the end section. So another beautiful combination.
He surfed that wave as well as it could be surfed of what it had to offer. Interesting finish to this heat. It's crazy how the story can just flip-flop throughout.
So interesting too when you look at these two surfers going blow for blow. One of my favorite heats of the day, from Ethan's approach, staying calm, waiting for about a minute on the clock to turn in one of the better waves we've seen today. Numbers are coming through for Ethan Ewing. A 9.67, his best number this season on tour. As he moved into first, Filipe Toledo had one last wave, the three-turn combination we're waiting for, then needed a 9.08 to come back.
Yeah, that was an enjoyable wave to watch. Here's Filipe. He's got to answer back. He needs the 9.08 on this wave, Joe. I just, like I said, the surfing's there. Everything is beautiful. I just don't think the wave just offered up that big enough opportunity for the 9.
Not even close for Toledo, a 6.27. This one comes to a close. Ewing answers back in a huge way. One of the best combined totals of his career. Ethan will enter just the second quarterfinal of his young career here at Sunset.